Hey, welcome back. It's Wednesday. We usually do these on Monday, but this week I had meetings from Sunday until yesterday in Aiken. And it's just these meetings that we go to for where all of the different solicitors meet up for a week and try to go through legislative stuff that we would want to see passed or budgets. A whole series of topics. But anyway, it's good to get with everybody. There's 16 circuits in South Carolina. There's 46 counties. Ours is the 15th Circuit, which is over in Georgetown. But Scarlett Wilson has Berkeley and Charleston, and it's there in the 9th Circuit. But it's sort of geographically put together. And so all across the state, there's 16 of us. And then, of course, the Attorney General, he didn't show up to this one, but most of the time he's there to give an update, and we just get together and sort of see what's affecting crime across the state and what we could do better and those sort of things. So that's why I'm here on Wednesday instead of Monday, but I appreciate you taking the time to come and join us. I promised you an update. Meagan Jackson was convicted. Of course, Chris Dontel had pled earlier, and his sentencing is set for July 14th. That's the next time we could get in front of a judge. Of course, he cooperated and testified in the case. There's so much that you can't tell about this until after it's over. But basically, when we started his trial, he pled guilty. And then the judge didn't sentence him, but held aside his sentence until after Meagan Jackson's case. He has been in jail since that time, and now will be sentenced on the 14th. But he basically said that he and Meagan Jackson were having an affair. Chris has got a wife and kids. Meagan Jackson has kids and an ex-husband. The ex-husband, Greg Rice, is the one that ends up getting killed. And from what we were working on early on is that this assumption that Greg Rice had been leaking information to Chris Dontel's wife, trying to get Chris Dontel and Meagan Jackson in trouble. And that the motive for killing Greg Rice was that he was exposing this secret. What we found out later and through the phones, when we dumped all of the phones and looked through all the electronics, is that Meagan Jackson was actually doing all of that. Meagan Jackson was putting the information out to Chris Dontel's wife to break up the marriage, but making it look like it was coming from someone else. And a lot of people watched the entire trial and was able to figure that out. But the motive was still fairly unclear, but it seems to be that we're going to establish this new relationship while destroying the old one, and our relationship is going to be built on in such a way that if either one of us try to break up, we've got this terrible secret that's out there that was murder. Obviously hoping to get away with it, did a lot of stuff that would have easily could have gotten away with it. But when Greg Rice's body showed up in a tarp at the river between Horry and Georgetown, that tarp became very important. And we went back and looked at the places that would have sold that tarp in around that time and find the video of Chris Dontel buying that and the cinder blocks and all of the stuff that was attached to Greg Rice. Then the other information that was available very early on was the license plate readers that pick up vehicles coming to and fro showing Meagan Jackson's vehicle going into the subdivision that Greg Rice lived in on the night that he went missing and nobody saw him. Remember, for a few days, nobody knows that Greg Rice is dead. They just know that he is missing. And it was only until that body washes up that we knew for sure that Greg Rice is dead. After she went in, apparently, and this information came from Chris Dontel, as he walked to the vehicle, and she had prearranged for him to ride with her to move a body, Greg Rice to ride with Meagan Jackson, move a body. As he walked to the car, she guns him down. The two of them, Chris Dontel and Meagan Jackson, pick up the body, put it in the back of the transport van, and take it to one of the funeral homes that is nearby. We had license plate readers that were showing that they went down towards that funeral home, and the body lay there for a while until Chris Dontel picked the body up and disposed of it in the river. Fascinating case. Another part that you may not have known about, but we'll find out soon enough, is it was covered nationally by Court TV, by 2020, by a lot of those crime shows that you usually see. There will be upcoming shows on that by all of these different people, these different organizations, and those guys covered it. It may have gotten a little, it would have been the lead case, but the Karen Reed case probably overshadowed it a little bit, the retrial there at Karen Reed. But, you know, it was getting over 100,000 viewers at the time while the case was going on. Really didn't add a lot of pressure to us. The professionals at each of the different news agencies did just a stellar job of keeping us out of it so that our people could pay attention to the elements of the crime and go through and putting up a case in order. I've had so many people to compliment our team on a great job in that case. I think they did do a really good job. The sheriff's office pitched in and helped with the phone stuff. Did just a tremendous job. And the police agencies have put together what would have been a really, really tough case, and it was a tough case. But one of the advantages that we got that I really bemoaned even on this video over and over was all of the continuances. You know, this case was almost 5 years old. It had been continued 4 different times, all at the defense attorney's request. And believe it or not, one of the first motions that we were hit with was, Judge, the case is almost 5 years old. They didn't give us a speedy trial. We want it dismissed. That didn't go anywhere, of course. We never asked for continuance. We fought and screamed and hollered, please. But the good news is that preparing it for trial each time, we were ready each time to go to trial. And in the preparation, we got better and better and better until it was a really good product by the time it had been continued 4 times, and we had prepared it 4 different times for trial. So the case went great. Again, it may have gotten a little bit overshadowed by the Karen Reed case, but you're going to see a lot of Dateline 2020, Court TV type stuff, Snapped, all of that stuff that will come up in the future on this case. And it's one of those that have a little bit of staying power. But a great case by all of the law enforcement and our people. The defense team did very well. I can't leave them out. They had it prepared about as good as you could, but once all of the evidence started rolling out, there's very little that you can do with that from the other side. And I think the jury made the right call, and the judge gave her, Meagan Jackson, life imprisonment without possibility of parole. One more thing very quickly, because there's always comments on in our comments about this person's going to serve this, they'll be out in 8 years, they'll be out in 20 years. It is confusing. What I can tell you about murder, life imprisonment means you die in prison. She will die in prison, and then they'll take her out and bury her the next day. I'll get back with you again next week, and if we don't have any, if you see anything in the comments you want to discuss, great. Also, last week I attended the execution of Stephen Stanko. So if we don't have anything else, we'll go over that next week.